You might be thinking to yourself, why is it so important to confront and tackle lust? Why is it such a big deal? When we are stuck in our lower ways of being, we will find every excuse and reason that we can think of to confirm the internal bias that we have that it isn't that deep. It's not that important. Well, I'm a man that is creative when it comes to getting points across. Quite a lot of the time I speak in analogies, in hypotheticals. I like to give scenarios that cause people to ponder a bit deeper, way past the surface level interpretation of it. Now, lust. Controlling your emotions, controlling the sexual impulse that you have. Now, what I'm about to say, it might come across as an extreme example. It may be hard to even think about how it could be possible, but bear with me. It comes down to one simple question that I have for you. Say that you have a neighbor, right? And you have a pretty good relationship with your neighbor. And one time you've got something on, right? And your relationship with this neighbor is so good that you feel like you can ask him or her to care and watch over your kids for half a day until you come back home, for example. Now, obviously, leaving your kids in the care of someone, that is a big deal. There is a huge level of trust in that decision. I suppose there is a level of vulnerability as well, because you are leaving something that is deeply important and valuable to you in the care of someone else. And whatever happens, that is out of your control, isn't it? because you are not there. Now, my question, I have set a little bit of context here. Now, my question for you is, if you knew that this neighbor had no control over his emotions, no control over his sexual impulses, no discipline when it comes to what is right and wrong. If you knew that this person was a slave to lust and couldn't overcome its grip on him, would you think twice about leaving your kids in his care? I think that you would. It is a scenario that we don't even want to think about. However, it brings me back to the point and why it's important to overcome lust. If you do not have a good relationship over lust, it may well turn into some type of perversion. It may turn into some not so good thoughts, which then can manifest into not so good actions. Now, if you do not have control over your sexual impulses, in the same way that if you knew that your neighbor couldn't control himself in that regard, if you knew that, you would quickly put an end to the consideration of even leaving your kids in his care, because you will not trust. And in the same way that if you do not have a good relationship with lust, your aura and energy, some people might be able to pick up on it, others probably not. It depends. But those a lot more in tune with things, they will be able to see right through you. And if you are a slave to lust, people will not trust you either. In the same way that you won't trust your neighbor. It works both ways. Now, this hypothetical scenario that I've outlined here, this is one of many that I could share in order to try to drive the point home. It is more important than you think. At some stage, you will realize that what is done in the dark, it surely will come to the light. It is very important to have a positive relationship with sex. After all, and I will go into this in another video, but in many ways, sex, that is what they were talking about in the Garden of Eden story. It goes deep, it does. Very few people actually know about that. But in many ways, the abuse of sex is what they refer to as biting the apple, which then leads to the fall of man in terms of their consciousness. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Take care.